Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Payoff Pitch presented by Mike and Kyle. I'm Kyle, that's Mike. Uh, what you see in the middle there is our cool new little logo that Money Mike himself made. So,
That's right. We're trying to brand ourselves, I'm Mike, that's Kyle. This is the payoff pitch. This is the payoff pitch's logo. Everybody loves it. We're having fun. And we're talking baseball, man. Sometimes I keep thinking like it's surreal that we're in baseball season. Remember how like we longed for this day when we were like doing the NBA shows and we decided we have to talk about baseballs around the corner every day because we were really that excited.
and
Well,
now it's every
it's
day.
here, Kyle. Isn't it awesome?
It's every day, buddy.
It feels great. I love it.
Dude, it is. We're having a lot of fun. So, new addition, obviously, our pitcher projections. Similar to our home run percentages, we now have a pitcher percentage or a score on the screen. And I'll show it to you guys today. They were mad accurate yesterday. Let me pull up Twitter because I posted the pictures on there.
And it's a percentage, but it's like an arbitrary number. Obviously
Exactly. Higher is
the
lower.
better. It's more of like a score, like Kyle said.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. It's something I think that I know we have been discussing for a while. Kind of doing our own research and kind of pulling it together, like what we thought the best stats were to use, and it's at a beta stage where it's out there and it looks good.
Yeah, so we've been testing it for a week. Bam, right here. All right, so this is yesterday's results. How does that look on the screen? Let me pull it up.
It's all right. You get the gist though. If you look at the top 5, I think was that
top six.
or
So
5?
our top 6 projected players yesterday. Here, let me zoom in a little more because I can see it on my screen. Were Jacob DeGrom, Trevor Cahill, Nate Carnes, Alex Wood, Marcus Stroman, and Carlos Martinez. The top 6 pitchers by score yesterday: Alex Wood, Nate Carnes, Kevin Gausman, who was an outlier. We didn't project him to do well. Ricky Nolasco also we didn't project well. But then Jacob DeGrom, Trevor Cahill, Carlos Martinez. So 5 of the top 7 pitchers yesterday were in our top 6.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think you talk those 2 outliers. I mean, it's going to happen every slate for sure. So the fact that over 50% even is returning in the top 5, that to me is a complete win. And I think to address Jose's question, these numbers, man, it's not about who to attack as far as like picking your hitters. It's about who to pick as far as pitchers. Right,
Well,
Kyle?
we're trying to figure that part out right now. So I tested it yesterday. Obviously, I stacked Oakland, and I liked the Nationals. Now, obviously, neither of them did well, and sure enough, Gosman and Nolasco pitched amazing. So it's not so. I haven't really deciphered it in the sense of how to use it to attack pitchers yet. Yet. I do think it's possible. I think there's going to be more to it than is just picking that guy, though. So we'll see how that works. One strategy that I'm working on, and those of you that have the sheets for it, is pairing pitcher projections, right, that are red with home run projections for the opposing team that are green. I'm continuing to test that to see how it works. Also, you're going to see 4 different scores right here. There are 4 different tests that we're running. As I mentioned, this is still in beta mode, but it's been accurate enough that I want to release it to you guys. And so, still in beta, but we're going to see how each category works, and then eventually it will be one solid projection, as you see with home run projection. Because,
Sure.
yeah. And remember, as Mike said, the percentage is arbitrary. It literally does not mean anything other than, the higher the better. So a pitcher could score 30%, he could score 20. The highest could be 15 of the day. But it's slate dependent on what the highest percentage is. So tomorrow you may see, right now the highest we have is 23. The highest tomorrow could be 30, could be 15. But the higher
No,
the
I mean
better.
the reason I was saying, not necessarily is something to use to find out how to attack is because I know the statistics that are put into it are based off of, how to get points as a pitcher playing DFS, So,
Well, yes and no.
but I mean,
Yes, yes and no.
they do like kind of go on both sides of that realm. So you definitely can. It's just
They do.
not engineered in that sense.
Well, and see, that's what me and Mike were talking about earlier offline is the correlation. So fly balls, I did some research today. Fly balls percentage is, out of the stats we use, the most correlated stat from year to year for pitchers, more so than strikeouts. WOBA is one of the lowest. BABIP is one of the lowest. BABIP only has like a 30% correlation year to year. Fly balls has a 78. So we're putting a lot of emphasis, obviously, on those factors, fly ball strikeouts. So in a sense, they can help project batters because fly balls are home runs, right? So guys that score lower means they have more fly balls. Typically, you'll see that pattern. That's not the end all, obviously. But you can kind of theorize that a pitcher with a lower score will be one of the more fly ball pitchers on the slate.
Right. And so that's what you kind of see on the game sheets, too. I mean, we've had it all the whole time. I mean,
Exactly.
You have hard contact, fly ball, home run per 9. So, yeah, again, it's just we're continuing to bring shit to the table, right? So it's going to just stay rocking with this, man. I guarantee it's exciting to see how this all goes down. And baseball is so statistically driven that you guys research it, bring it to us. We do our own research. It's all one big family doing this. So we're just kind of putting in the legwork and the extra hours.
Yeet. All right, so we got Washington and Baltimore, man. What you'll see is Jeremy goes in and updates all the implied totals an hour before lock. Typically, when we do the show on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, those numbers will be in.
Yeah, they're in there.
But we want the most accurate numbers, so we'll get that. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I'll bring them up so we can talk about them on the show.
Yeah, where they're at in the current standings. So this game currently, Washington is favored. They have a 4.65. Baltimore has a 3.85. So obviously makes sense with Max Scherzer on the hill. Washington gets to attack Ubaldo Jimenez.
Ubaldo on the others.
So definitely can make some sense here. Washington let us down yesterday. Do we go back to them today? Trey's back in the lineup. Bryce is obviously still there. You got Daniel Murphy, Zimmerman, who leads the league in home runs, RBIs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've been saying it a couple times. It's that Gausman, is better than he's shown this year. So maybe that was just kind of a little bit of a breakout start, obviously against the Nationals. So it was a surprising start. He looked good. So I wouldn't say it was much of a Nationals let us down. It could be a combination of they let us down and Gausman just kind of found his stuff. Ubaldo Jimenez, however, he is who he is.
Yeah.
So you definitely get an attack here. I think the Nationals have one of the best offenses in the league. So I totally think you can attack here. Now, is it my favorite stack of the day? I think it definitely makes the case for it. But it's always in play, so it's hard to say it's my favorite,
No, absolutely. We'll, as we kind of go through, we'll kind of evaluate which one's our favorite. But Hitter's Ballpark, a lot of things to like. Now, Scherzer's always chalk when he's on the slate. Baltimore, power in the lineup, man. Their offense is kind of coming together. You look at these, I mean, the numbers are ridiculous. In the at-bats per home run, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 through 7, all at home versus righties, averages a home run in under 20 at-bats.
Yeah, they just play really well versus righties. Obviously, Scherzer's an elite righty, so maybe middle statistics, but I generally like to play against the Orioles when it's a lefty. If you look at the K percentage, they're a top 5 team striking out versus lefties, and they're a bottom 5 team at striking out versus righties. In the sense that they strike out the least versus righties. So there's an obvious discrepancy there.
I can get behind a Baltimore stack today, especially with knowing Scherzer's going to be chalk. We talk about fly ball pitcher, heavy fly ball pitcher. If it's not a strikeout, it's usually a fly ball for him. So, home run per 9. If this team gets a hold of a fastball and it ends up being a fly ball, I'm on it, man. So he's not my favorite pitcher on the slate.
Yeah, neither am I. So I could see myself going after that. I don't really think I'm going to have any Scherzer today. So to be contrarian, I definitely could see myself doing it. For sure.
Absolutely. Seattle and Philadelphia, no Nelson Cruz today. Kyle Seager will move up to the cleanup spot. And obviously Seattle loses the DH going to Philly. Ariel Miranda gives up home runs, man, to righties. So do we look at some of these righties in this lineup? I can immediately look to Franco. I look to Tommy Joseph. I look to Aaron Altier. Cesar Hernandez leading off. Cesar's probably not
the
home run guy, but yeah.
Yeah, I think Tommy Joseph makes a fairly one off today. Obviously, he's got the big uppercut swing, and like you said, home runs to righties. Then you got the Seager Cano 2-man. I think that is most definitely in play against Eichhoff, who has just not been the same pitcher this year.
Yep. And, he's obviously, he's a righty, gives it up to lefties. You see his fly ball and home run per 9 versus lefties, high WOBA. Almost 100 points higher WOBA versus lefties than is righties. So.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's
Gamble too, man.
That's where I'm at for this 2 game. Yeah, true.
2 through 4, Gamble's a lefty. And he's been getting on base. So you got those 3. I think this has potential for a game stack. Quite honestly.
Definitely. Yeah, you mentioned Saunders. Who else did you say? Herrera.
No,
the lefty.
I like
say
the
Franco?
I like the righties. I like Altier, Franco, Joseph, and even
Franco
Ruff.
And
even
Joseph.
Ruff as a cheap one-off. Or I'm sorry, cheap catcher, not a one-off. He fits that stack. So.
And again, I'm a fan of Galvis to fit the stack as well. If you wanted to go 6 through 8.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a bottom of the order stack that could do some damage.
Galvis is only 3,400 on DraftKings, and that's probably as cheap as I want to go at shortstop today.
I think it goes without saying we're not playing either pitcher, correct?
Correct.
Now, here is my pitcher on this slate, and that is Carlos Carrasco. I really like him today. I think he has slightly less K upside than Max Scherzer, but a significantly lower fly ball rate. Significantly, and that's important in this ballpark in Toronto.
Third highest money line on the slate for Carrasco. So when you look at that based on price, he's seemingly Vegas seems to be the best bet for him to get the win today.
Yep.
For the high tier pitchers.
I think it also plays into the fact that he's facing Mike Bolsinger, who has over his career never been amazing. I know he started out, I think he had like a no-hitter or close to one versus the Giants, but disregard that, man. I think a Cleveland stack with Carrasco is in play.
I like Carrasco. I mean, you look at the Blue Jays; they are top 10 in strikeout percentage versus righties, bottom 10 in fly ball percentage versus righties, and middle of the pack in hard contact. So,
there's a lot of things.
Looks like he obviously has a better matchup than Scherzer. Looking at price point, he obviously has a better matchup than Verlander as well. I think you make the case he's a better matchup than Samardzija. So if you look at the top 5 price pitchers here, he looks to have the best matchup.
I just want to clarify something for a viewer real quick. He said that it's going to be about 50 degrees in Toronto. However, this is a dome. I can actually remove this, so the temperature will not play. Obviously, that'll be a preset temperature in the dome.
Yeah, it generally plays to be a hitter's park.
Absolutely.
A little bit, but again, we're talking about picking him because he's limiting the fly ball, and so that's the reason why. So it kind of negates that in a bit.
Yeah, so
No sense.
I'm on Carrasco if I'm going to pay up a pitcher today. Again, I typically don't pay up for pitcher. I try and find the mid-tier guy that has a chance to score as many points. Right? Yesterday, Alex Wood, Nate Carnes. So I have someone in mind today, but I do think Carrasco has a legit shot at being the top pitcher on the slate. And I like him more
Definitely.
than Max Scherzer. So for that reason, I'm not going to stack. And I also have not heard anything about Carrasco being chalk with Scherzer on the slate. So that is even more reassuring to me. You guys know I hate pitching chalk, and I like stacking against it.
Strange, though. I would imagine, from my perspective, looking at the top 5 price guys on DraftKings, he easily has the best matchup there. So to me, that is strange that Scherzer would be more chalk. I don't know that people just see the name and feel more comfortable in that sense. I know Carrasco really hasn't put up a 30 DraftKings point game this season yet either. But you look at the people he's played, and he's had some pretty tough opponents. So again, I agree. If I'm paying up today, it's Carrasco. I don't think either of my pitchers on DraftKings I am paying up for. Kind of middling it today, but agreed. I totally feel like he's the guy I would want.
We got New York and Cincy. Aaron Judge is back in the lineup. We talk about fly ball pitchers and Tim Adelman. This is a hitter's ballpark for sure. I think there's quite a bit to like about this Yankee stack today, man. High home run per 9 rate, high fly ball, high hard contact. Very average K per 9.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they've just been destroying mediocre pitching. If you look at the games where they've kind of kept their run totals in check recently, it's been against good pitchers. Mediocre pitching has just been getting eaten alive by this Yankee bats as of late. You saw it yesterday with Ricky Davis. Just didn't have any control, left the balls to meatballs, and sure enough, home runs came out. No Aaron Hicks today, who's been red hot. Gary Sanchez has looked good since he's come back. It's only been a couple of games. So you're paying up if you're getting him. Generally, I don't like to do that at catcher, but I think he fits a stack.
Gardner.
Castro, obviously. Gardner's been getting the ball out of the ballpark. He's notoriously a streaky hitter. So I would ride that streak, I guess, if I was someone.
Yeah, today I look at Gardner, Sanchez, case for Castro. I go Judge. I think if you're going to stack Yankees, it has to have Judge in it. And I would argue that you have to have Sanchez in there. I almost make the argument that you've got to have Gardner. So then you're finding one more guy, and I would say that's probably either Didi or Castro.
I don't know. As a Yankee fan, man, I'm struggling to buy into Gardner. I really am. I mean, this dude does not have. I mean, I guess he has power. He has power. He's shown he has power, but he's not someone that goes out and I confidently say he's going to hit 20 home runs a year. He's a leadoff hitter. So we'll see if he stays on this tear. I'm not buying in really. I'm kind of going to fade on that, but Castro, he's a line drive type hitter, so if you're picking him as a one-off, I would probably look elsewhere. He doesn't really seem to me as a one-off as a guy to just hit a bomb. He likes to make contact and hit for average.
Yeah, but like you said, streaky, man. You got to consider riding it. In regards to CC, I think Duval, an elite one-off again. Crazy power. Yeah. I don't really like lefties versus CC, but I think Votto is obviously, in his own category. But I do like me some Hamilton, Cozart, Duval today, and even Suarez. And Mesoraco, actually.
Your thoughts on... that's where I was going to go. What are your thoughts on Mesoraco? 2,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah, he's 2,400 on FanDuel, so cheap. I like it. I like Mesoraco today, if I'm not playing Sanchez.
He's really kind of struggling in the extra base hits category since he's come off the DL. But, again, righties kind of eat CC alive for extra base hits.
Yeah.
Batting 8th in the order. It's a punt. I don't really think I'm going to stack. I'm looking to find a one-off in that lineup against CC, though. There's going to be some home runs hit.
I mean, if you're looking for an elite one-off, I think it's got to be Duval at a position where you have some flexibility. But Mesoraco is a good punt, I would say. I wouldn't say he's a one-off. I'd say he's a punt.
Yeah, he's definitely a punt. We always talk about catcher punts, so I agree.
Jeff
this is an interesting game to me.
Yeah, Jeff Samardzija, Zach Wheeler. So Zach Wheeler, has been striking people out quite frequently. Look at Jeff Samardzija. This it really
Versus righties, he's an elite pitcher. Versus lefty, he's a completely different pitcher.
But check this
If
out.
you look at all the stats.
Does this? So Zach Wheeler versus lefty strikes people out almost 30% of the time, but gives up 45% hard contact, 2.3 home runs per 9. On the flip, only strikes out 17% of righties, has not given up a home run to a right-handed bat at home this year, and a 15% hard contact. And
The thing I
then,
can say to that is maybe he tries to stay out of the zone
yeah, he's pitching
against lefties. You
ground
know,
balls, no hard
tries to
contact.
get him to chase.
So that's really interesting to me. And then Samardzija, he is striking out people at a much higher clip than his average. He's almost at 30% strikeout rate this year.
Yeah, he has been playing well, but again, if you look at the splits of the numbers this season versus righties and lefties, it's pretty
Gandhi.
pretty different.
Absolutely.
So I think the Conforto Bruce against the righties 2-man stack is still in play. I don't like it as much as I'd normally do against a pitcher who's playing well this season. And I think you can make the case for both of these pitchers. Obviously, I think Wheeler's a little bit more intriguing because of his price. And the fact that the Giants have just been getting mowed down by righties.
So when looking at Samardzija, his xFIP is actually one of the best on the slate, meaning that he's pitching better than what he's indicated. He did have a really good outing last time out, obviously, so maybe we start to see kind of where that is. Mets are an extremely...
Regression.
Yeah, no, not regression. He should be going up.
Well, to the mean.
Yeah, to the mean. So he's pitching below where his average is, meaning he should come back up a little bit. Jason says Wheeler has been struggling to go deep into games, so I wouldn't play him. Agree. GPP play for sure, but just because of the Giants. I mean, we faced that same thing with Alex Wood yesterday, right? Didn't go deep into games yet. He didn't pitch into the 6th inning yet this year. Goes out and is the highest pitcher on the slate. I think you got to look. You got to look at matchups.
I think there's a bit of a narrative with Wheeler. Obviously, we're easing him back to start the year, and then his last 3 starts were against the Nets. So.
True. I think, again, look at it from an opponent standpoint. The Giants have struggled mightily this year.
Exactly.
And so
they'll give him 7 innings if he's playing well. It's not like they're going to yank him. I think maybe in his first couple of starts of the season, I could see that he didn't pitch over 100 pitches, but in his last 2 starts against the Nationals, he's hit 100 pitches and he went to 7 innings in one of the 2.
It just wasn't a quality start.
I don't know. I don't know that that really takes me off of him as far as what they've been doing with him. Again, you said the matchup, right? Yep. He's got a great matchup. He's priced pretty fairly for it. He's a strikeout pitcher. It's just definitely GPP play for sure. I don't feel super comfortable about Zach Wheeler, and I don't think the Mets even do as well.
I agree. I'm GPP for sure. If you look at the opponent, though, he has everything that's pointing towards a good play based on opponent. And Samardzija, again, super GPP play, but if he does in fact continue, I mean, if he builds on his last start in a pitcher's ballpark, I would say it's more geared towards pitchers versus a team that has shown the ability to get shut down by pitchers. It's going to be, you don't know which Mets lineup is going to show up. I mean, if they show up, Jeff's going to get rocked, going to get a couple home runs hit off of him. If they don't, he may be in for a 7-inning outing with 8-9 Ks.
It's true, man. I could see it. So the Samardzija call, he is pretty fairly priced as well on DraftKings. If you look at, he's sandwiched between Verlander and Robbie Ray.
Okay.
So the 2 pitchers in that Detroit-Arizona game. And because of that, I don't know. I feel like with what Robbie Ray has been doing, I think he's going to get some ownership today. Even though it's against Detroit.
As well. Roto has talked Robbie Ray up.
Yeah, and I'm made for me. If he's going to get ownership, I know he did against Washington Dodgers. He's been playing well against really good teams. Detroit's another good team, but it's a hitter's park. And we talk about regression to the mean. I do think he's turned a corner, and he's going to have a great year. But if he's going to be chalk, I think I'd rather go to find the guy at the price next to him, which is Samardzija. I don't feel like I'm going to find Samardzija in my lineup, but that's where I would play it from a contrarian standpoint, you know?
Yep. Looking at this Tampa Bay Kansas City game, this is where I'm looking for a really cheap stack today, and that's Tampa Bay. I love Logan Morrison again. Corey Dickerson leading off, Brad Miller in the 2-hole, and Colby Rasmus at 6, man. Hit a home run and a triple the other day. We know he kills right-handed pitching, and Chris Young, over a 50% fly ball rate, Mike. And versus left-handed pitching, almost 2.4 home runs per 9.
Yeah, I'm looking up Chris Young's age because I'm interested.
I believe he's
see how old this dude is.
He's definitely almost in his 40s, if not there yet. So that's where I'm going.
37 years, 11 months, and 14 days.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if he was 37 years, 11 months, and 15 days, I would be off of him. But 14 days, yeah, this dude's old, man. And he hasn't really been pitching this year, has he?
I believe he's been a relief pitcher.
I don't recall. Yeah, I don't recall him starting. So yeah, I think he's been long relief kind of guy. So look for some a lot of bullpen innings in this game, I would imagine. So yeah, I agree. I think Tampa Bay has been a cheap stack that we've both been on all year long, especially versus righties. Yeah, 1 through 4.
So yeah, I'm
Colby Rasmus as well.
Yeah, I'm all Dickerson, Morrison, Rasmus, and you can go Miller. I can make an argument for Tim Beckham. So I look there.
It's interesting that they put Logan Morrison and Ricky Weeks in the lineup together. That hadn't happened pretty much all year.
True. Yeah, Ricky Weeks, platoon guy.
Usually.
What are your thoughts on Matt Andriese? So again, Matt Andriese is nothing to write home about. We played him last start.
The matchup.
Yep, for the matchup. This Royal team is struggling heavily.
I'm curious if people are going to chase what he did last outing. Because I think that was somewhat out of character. I mean, he kind of caught the Marlins at a good time and rendered them scoreless in a sense. Or it was like hitless for a bunch, wasn't it? So, not to say that this seemingly is like a similar type of matchup with the Royals, a team that doesn't really show that they strike out a lot on paper, but has not been playing well and has a couple of power bats, but a really not very strong lineup top to bottom. So it's a similar situation, I think, when you're evaluating Matt Andriese's opponent to last time against the Marlins. Yep. It's interesting. I think if we look at his price, so he is $200 more than Zach Wheeler on DraftKings, another guy we talked about. $100 less than Julio Urias, who I don't think anybody's going to be on after his start to the season.
I don't know. I think
I can see it. I don't think anybody's going to be on him.
Kansas City over the last 7 days, 208 average, 132 ISO, 280 WOBA. I mean, there's the bottom 5 team in the league over the last 7 days versus righties. Ironically, San Francisco is the last team. They have a .09 ISO to make a stronger case for Wheeler. I don't think Andriese is an elite play today at all. I don't even think he's a great play, but he is an option for cheap, just based on matchup alone.
You know what's weird? The Royals are the 5th best in fly ball percentage versus righties.
So, fun stat, I'll bring this to you. 95% of fly balls end up in an out.
Right, and so you have to pair that with, you kind of have to, if you're picking for pitcher, you kind of have to pair that with home run to fly ball ratio, right? Mm-hmm. So
the Royals are hitting fly balls, but they're not traveling.
The Royals, exactly. So they're a top 5 team in fly ball percentage and a bottom 5 team in home run to fly ball percentage. So a lot of cans of corn coming off these Royal bats.
Yep. St. Louis and Miami. Carlos Martinez had a good game despite giving up a few runs yesterday. A couple home runs to Ozuna. Adam Wainwright, Dan Straley. Me personally, I think I'm going to attack Dan Straley again, man. High fly ball percentage. I know that he gives up more home runs to righties than lefties, and has a higher fly ball rate, but the lefties on this lineup for St. Louis are kind of where I'm going, man. I love me some Matt Carpenter again, but knowing that this Dan Straley splits are worse against righties, give me Gorko and Aledmus Diaz as well.
Yeah, Carpenter. I think Richa can go is in that conversation as well. This is like a little sneaky cheap game stack, I think, too. If you really wanted to go there, Vegas only has it as an 8 over under, but I think it could be. I think if you want to stack this for cheap, I mean, you definitely can.
The only thing that worries me about Adam Wainwright is his really low fly ball rate. Well, I wouldn't say it's
right.
not elite low, but it's not high, right? It's 3 out of his 10 balls off the bat end up in.
No, I totally agree. I would much rather go to St. Louis, and I think Grichuk, Carpenter, Jorko, Diaz, Molina fits a stack. Yeah, I like all those guys, and then you got the 2 guys in the bottom here that are showing well. So,
I think I go there. Yeah. So that's kind of where I'm on today as well. Is I can get behind Grichuk again, Grichuk, Carpenter, Gorko, and Diaz. On the Marlins side, I can see. Does this interest you at all? D. Gordon batting 9th. You can do a reverse stack here.
Yeah, they switched it up again. The Rich Dyack took Boer's spot. Real Muto up at leadoff, which I think he batted leadoff last year.
He did.
Or was he batting 2-hole?
He batted leadoff for a portion of the time when Gordon was suspended. They kind of went back and forth. I mean, he was leadoff, second, 6th. I mean, he was all over. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out before I really put some money on it.
So,
what do you think?
Safe to say, not going to.
I'd rather.
Yeah, I'm definitely on Atlanta. Or I'm sorry, St. Louis. But safe to say, I'm not playing either of those pitchers. Drew Pomeranz is a guy that I'm looking at today versus Milwaukee lineup that is home run or nothing versus lefties. So, pure GPP play again, but great strikeout stuff. Is prone to giving up home runs, so you're either going to get, I mean, you can get a combo as well, but you're either going to get a shutdown performance, this Milwaukee team's just going to strike out a ton, or they're not, and they're going to tee off on Pomeranz.
Yeah, Pomeranz didn't really make my list. He had a pretty good start to the season. He hasn't shown that he can play late in the games. But that's because he likes to strike people out, and I think he's just does work to get his strikeouts. This is a Brewers team, so it could help him in a sense to get his pitch count down, get him a little later. Obviously we like the Red Sox to win this game. Hitters Park, 2 of their big bats are lefty in Thames and Shaw. They do have Ryan Braun back up today. So, yeah, definitely a GPP play that you're just kind of hoping the ball stays in the ballpark as far as Pomeranz.
Yeah. Did Danny Santana get traded to Atlanta?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean...
There's a Twins deal Santana to Braves for
Danny.
a pitcher. Wow. Yesterday.
Oh, wait. Huh.
Didn't know that, but there you
I
go.
guess they've not been very happy with. I wonder what their pitcher is they got. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of him.
Anyways.
I guess we're lagging a little bit. Sorry, guys. I don't know why that is, but sometimes it happens. A lot of people coming to us, and
we're good now.
A lot of hot takes. I mean, and then I think the Benintendi Moreland thing. Obviously, Ramirez out of the lineup. Benintendi starts the cleanup, lefty righty. Dude gives up some power to righties. I mean, to lefties. I think that's a cool 2-man that I like in a hitter's park against Wiley Coyote over there.
Absolutely, I can get behind. I
think Betts is in play too, leading off.
Yeah, I can get behind the 1
through
4.
The Red Sox.
I can get behind 1 through 4.
You don't like Moreland? I like Moreland.
not like more. I'm just saying I can get behind the 1 through 4 for him.
Yeah, and then I think Sandy Leon's got the righty-lefty splits. Is getting another catcher punt, perhaps. Again, Hitter's Park, poor pitcher, splits matchup. That's kind of what I look for cheap guys.
Truth.
So I get behind the Red Sox today.
If you're gonna stack Milwaukee, I think again you look at Thames, Braun, Shaw, Domingo Santana, Manny Pina's in play. I mean, there's a ton of power up and down this lineup. I like Keon Broxton, but personally, if I was to roster Pomeranz, obviously I wouldn't stack against him, but definitely a lot of elite power in this Brewer lineup.
See, I'd much rather play Boston against Peralta than I would Milwaukee against Pomeranz.
100%. I agree with you.
Yeah, that's where I'm at on this game. I think I'm going to fade Milwaukee today, but I don't think I'm really thinking much about Pomeranz because I can see it happening.
Minnesota, Chicago, two pitchers that neither are great. But so Mike Pelfrey, I know his WOBA against him is bad, no strikeouts, but the guy's a ground ball pitcher. And so I don't know how much power you can expect out of this lineup. No Sano, obviously. But
Those all lefties?
everyone except Byron Buxton. Adrian's is a lefty too. I know we don't have stats on him. Not on the slate, but
yeah, the first thing that comes to mind, I think Pelfrey of all, I think there's stackability in this game. I think Chicago, you mentioned he's a ground ball pitcher, but guaranteed rate field does give up some power numbers over the years. So you can look at the power bats. There's no Miguel Sano in this lineup, which just changed it up a bit. You see Polanco jumping up. No Dozier, you're right. So I don't know that really takes me kind of off a stack with those two power bats out, but I think Cash is on play again if you want. It's poor pitch in the park, and we've got splits.
him and Vargas. I like Kenny's Vargas today.
Yeah, he's got big pop too. I like that call.
So that's
Wonder if he's multiple position eligible, or if you have to use your first base for him. Vargas.
Damn it, man! This stream is not great, but we'll power through.
Yeah, he is only first base eligible on DraftKings, 3,600, which is a little bit more than I want to spend on him, but I like that call, man. I do.
On the Chicago side, I like the righties here. I like Saladino leading off, as always. I like Abreu, Garcia, Frazier. Davidson's in play. Honestly, up and down.
Soto.
Up and down. This entire lineup's in play versus Santiago, quite honestly. I can get behind a cheap 6 through 9 stack. I think Soto's a good elite one-off catcher play. Matt Davidson, obviously, small sample size. What?
Yeah, I was going to say, we mentioned a couple now. That couple of cheap catchers that have the splits are in a good ballpark and are worthy of a punt.
Yeah, and Santiago's not been a good pitcher at all. So you can make an argument to stack anywhere up and down this Chicago lineup. It might be one of my favorite stacks of the day so far.
Now Santiago, he has been playing late in the games. He's seen the 7th inning, 3 out of his 6 starts, and he's played into the 5th in all 6. He's only given up 3 home runs this season, which I'm not sure how that plays into his running averages, but somewhat worrisome.
Well, I think you can see some regression. I mean, look at everywhere else in his career. He's given up more. He also has still a high fly ball rate of 48%, so they're coming.
He's due. He's definitely due for some regression. I mean, he's got an ERA of 2.78 this season. That is going to balloon. It could be today. Again, in good ballpark. Got a bunch of nice little power righties here. I think this is worthy of a cheap stack. 100%.
Yeah. So, Atlanta, Houston. This is one of my favorite pitchers on the slate, and that is Charlie Morton. So, not only has he maintained so far this year a very nice ground ball rate of about 125%, so 1 to 4. His strikeouts have gone.
Striking out a ton.
Yep, his strikeouts have increased considerably, and we talk about a Braves lineup that is nothing to exactly write home about. I think there's obviously a couple bats in here that you look at, but no one in here really scares me other than Freeman and Kemp. So I like Morton today. He scores really, really well for us. And yeah, man, I think
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, no, go ahead. I was just saying, I was looking at the scores, um, and what did you see from Morton?
in terms of
What do you
what
think played into that score?
his strikeouts are high, his ground balls are low. We talk about those are the two most correlative stats.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think so. I was looking through it, and at that price point on DraftKings, him and Wheeler are pretty much the same price. Charlie Morton's at 76, Wheeler's at 77. So pretty much the same price. And looking at what you guys came up with, I was intrigued at perhaps playing both, because I don't think anybody's going to be on Wheeler really, and I think people will be onto Morton a bit.
I think more so on DraftKings than FanDuel.
Yeah, definitely. So that's why I was thinking Wheeler as maybe an ownership pivot. But I like Morton enough to try and play both, I think, because I got outbid on him in my season-long league trying to pick him up. I think the strikeout numbers aren't a fluke. I think he just looked really, really well. It's kind of taken over what Joe Musgrove was for them in the last season.
I like
you
me some
hit it on the head about the opponent too. I mean, you got Freeman obviously that can do some damage, but it really isn't much else. A lot of red over there, and I like that call today.
I think on the Houston side, I can get behind some Correa, some Altuve. I love Josh Reddick, and I love Brian McCann today. I know Brian McCann is expensive, and you can at that price point on FanDuel, you're picking between him and Sanchez. I think I still go Gary Sanchez. But Brian McCann's definitely in play if you're going to do a Houston stack. I think he's got to be part of it. Beltran's in there. I mean, I think you can make the argument for a Houston stack against Cologne. Not my absolute favorite stack of the day, probably in my top 5, but it's not something I'm exactly rushing to do, but there is a case to be made for it, and those guys.
And Correa is heating up, guys. He has 7 doubles, 8 runs, 6 RBIs, and a 610 slugging percentage over his last 10 games. So I know the numbers over the course of the season haven't really looked great for him. And you can say the same about Dansby Swanson, who's just swinging at birds out there, seemingly, throughout the season. So Swan flies.
Jesus.
Yeah,
birds.
I mean, look, man,
he's been awful.
He's not been playing well. I mean, it'll come back around. But yeah, so I think Correa is intriguing. I think people have kind of been off of him a little bit too.
We got the second game of this doubleheader today, and that is Chicago and Colorado. Now, here is a play that's going to draw some attention from me. I don't think anybody's going to be on this at all today, Mike.
Let me guess.
Kyle Freeland. Yep.
I knew you were going to say John Lackey. So.
No, John Lackey. I don't like John Lackey at all. I don't think John Lackey is a great pitcher. I don't know why people keep thinking he is, but whatever.
He seems like a really not nice person either.
Well, he looks ugly, but...
No, but he's always yelling about stuff. I don't like that.
Well, yeah, he's mad that he sucks.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Kyle Freeland has a really low fly ball ratio, and this is obviously a lot of it is this year, right? Oh, it's all this year actually. But 20% fly ball ratio so far this year. If there's a place where you need a ground ball pitcher, it's in Coors.
Yeah, they've done pretty well picking up him and Senzatella, and players that play to contact, keep the ball on the ground, and trying to negate the whole Coors thing.
Yeah.
The Cubs' first lefties have been striking out a bit.
Quite a bit. Bottom 5 team. They're hitting 190 over their last 7 games versus lefties. Only a 111 ISO.
Right. I mean, that could only be 1 or 2 starts, but still, I mean, something to be looking at But this team, really, their power numbers are a little bit down. So this is actually a plus matchup.
It's 80 plate
Usually
appearances.
facing the Cubs, so that's 2 starts probably as a lineup.
I would say 2 or 3. Yeah. But,
Yeah, it's
I mean,
probably
obviously,
2.
it factors in, obviously, any bullpen, anything like that. But versus lefties, they've been struggling a ton. So,
Yeah, but I think this again, I think this is actually a positive matchup for Freeland.
that's what I'm saying.
Even though it's the Cubs in Colorado, people aren't going to look at them and be like, "Oh, this is a complete negative matchup." But if you look at the numbers and for what the Cubs have been doing versus lefties this year, it actually is a slight positive. And again, for his price on DraftKings, you really only need him to play late into games and pick up a couple strikeouts. That's really all you're really looking for out of him, man. Can he be a top 5 pitcher on the slate?
I don't think so.
I don't know. But, again, for his price, I think he can get you 6 innings and 5 Ks. And that's really all you need.
Yeah, I think he's a better play on DraftKings where you kind of just want a consistent or quality start from your SP.
SP2. Yeah, so I think if I'm paying for Carrasco, it's Freeland's in my SP2 today.
Yeah, so I'm okay with that. I don't think he's an elite start. I don't think he's a top 5 pitcher on the slate, like you said. If he goes out and balls, then awesome. But I think he's a better play on DraftKings than FanDuel. But I like the play. I think, not giving up a lot of home runs, 0.2 home runs per 9. I know that he's only had, I believe, 2 starts in cores, but...
Yeah, I mean, when I look at Freeland, especially from a FanDuel's perspective, I look at, am I in love with a high price stack today? I mentioned I really like Boston, and I think that is a high price stack that I don't know if I'm in love with it, though. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there's a stack on this slate that's really expensive that I am in love with. So for that reason, I think Freeland's not really a great FanDuel play today.
That's what I'm saying. So, by the way, I think you can stack against John Lackey, absolutely. I like Blackman. I like Arenado, Cargo, Ian Desmond. I mean, you can pick anywhere up and down the slide.
Trevor Story.
Yeah. I'm not scared of John Lackey at all today.
Yeah, again, but I don't know that I'm in love with that expensive stack.
No, same. Detroit and Arizona, Justin Verlander, Robbie Ray. I actually like Robbie Ray more than Verlander in this start. Robbie Ray pitches to ground balls more. And I think Arizona is a better offense. So I'm going to steer clear of Justin Verlander. I could see him getting blown up today. I see that potential. Robbie Ray is striking out at a 32% clip this year, Mike. That's huge. That's Max Scherzer level right now. So ton of upside with him. I can get behind.
Yeah, I was high on him coming into the season, so I'm not even really that, surprised. And you mentioned Verlander. I mean, his good starts this season have come against okay opponents. I mean, he's got a good start against Boston, a good start against Seattle, but then he struggled against Minnesota. He struggled in kind of both of his starts versus Cleveland. I guess he was all right in his last one, but not really been blowing me away. And you look at Robbie Ray on the flip. I mean, all of his good starts. I mean, we've got the Nats, the Rockies, 2 against the Dodgers. I mean, and then the Giants. But I don't know. It's just been surprising what he's been doing. Like you said, the strikeout numbers are
they're up there. They're elite.
Eye-opening.
Yeah, they're elite right now, 32%. So I can get behind a Robbie Ray play today. I will kind of err on the side of caution here. He has been talked up on Roto Grinders and quite a few podcasts today as the primary pivot down from Scherzer, which is weird. They're kind of skipping over Carrasco, which, like I said, tends to lead me more to playing him if you're going to pay up, because I think a lot of these sites are saying if you're not playing Scherzer, pay down to Ray, and so Carrasco just gets skipped.
Dude, and don't play either of these guys. One's playing Detroit, who has a lot of righty bats that are proven players, and one's playing the Orioles, who also have a bunch of great righty bats. So, I would if those 2 guys are the chalk, it's an easy fade for me.
I agree. I like Ray. I like his spot, but just from a chalk standpoint, as you guys know, our contrarian styles, I don't like playing chalk in the tournament because it will never separate you. It can only...
I mean, you look at...
It may keep you with the pack, but if you're playing tournaments to cash, you're playing them for the wrong reason. There's times and places to play chalk. There's good chalk. Rarely. I tend to say that chalk, more than not, does more harm than good, because if it blows up, you're automatically sunk. sorry, not automatically sunk, but you're not
And
you're not in a separated
I'm just
position.
saying, yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, it makes so much more sense if you're playing if you're playing 1 to 5 lineups and you're only playing tournaments. It makes so much more sense to be a contrarian player in baseball DFS. Maybe not in all the sports, but in baseball,
Yep.
makes so much more sense, especially with pitchers, to find the other pitchers because it's the only way to really compete and separate yourself consistently if you're a tournament player without the bankroll that a Shark has. Now, getting back to the Tigers against lefties, they have the highest hard contact rate for lefties on the season at 38.2%. Second highest fly ball percentage at 45.2%, and they're also top 10 in home run to fly ball ratio, all versus lefties. So, again, I agree. I like Ray's stuff, but it means facing a lineup that's playing well versus lefties, and if he's chalk, it's just an easy fade.
So talk about punt catchers, man. James McCann, cheap guy, play him, and then Miggy. I like Miggy.
Double dip.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
LA and Oakland. You talk about this game for a second. I just have to check one thing here.
Sure. This could be the Alex Meyer game, man. I mean, we've seen him play Toronto. We've seen him play Seattle. Played awful. I looked up some numbers. He leads with a 3-pitcher, ball, changeup, curveball. Generally, that's how young pitchers come up. Small changeup, off sort. And it seems like his changeup was getting, so he kind of got away from it. And you can't really be a starter in the majors and have fastball, curveball. And at least definitely not a strikeout pitcher. And that's why we were high on him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I'm figuring it out, I'm sure somebody on the staff has figured that out. So maybe they're going to work with it. Obviously, Oakland does strike out a ton. Pitcher's ballpark. We like him for the K upside, I think. No one is going to be on this guy after his first 2 starts in the majors. So, but then again, he was talked up, coming out of AAA. So, I don't know. What's your take on Meyer? I don't really think I'm playing him, but do you think there's a chance?
There's a chance he can do well today, absolutely. Not my favorite play, of course. We've seen his control issues, but I think there is some upside versus lineup.
You get anybody else you want on this entire slate.
Yep.
I mean, he's priced more than some closers. Priced lower than some closers right now. On the flip, Jarrell Cotton really hasn't shown the K upside other than the last game against Minnesota. But he's got a good matchup as well. I think he's a little bit higher price. He's in the same price range as Morton and Wheeler. So I think I'd fade Cotton out of the 3, but I could also see him outscoring the other 2.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm on Cotton for his high fly ball rate. It's kind of the same reason I'm not so much on Myers, but so far this year he's actually pitched well to contact and ground balls, so I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see on the flip an A stack. Alonso, I like Rosales again still. Jed Lowry had himself a nice game yesterday. Good call on that. Chris Davis always an elite.
2 homers.
Yeah, so there's parts to like. I like Cotton more than Myers.
Yeah, me too. I think I like these pitchers a little bit, or at least enough to really take me out of stacking either side of this. I think I could try to find a one-off for a home run off of Oakland. Ryan Healy's been playing well. Maybe I could go there. Same with Trevor Plouffe. But yeah, not really. I like the pitchers enough not to roster, but enough not to really stack against him.
Yeah, I don't.
And these lineups aren't out, by the way, either. So
yeah, is Washington good chalk or bad chalk?
Washington
national stack. It's hard to say, man. I mean,
yeah, they've let us down. I think and whenever they seemingly are chalk, it's like they don't play well.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I don't find myself stacking them today. I'm on Tampa and some St. Louis.
I haven't really gotten to build my lineups yet, to be honest with you. So I don't know how the prices shake out as far as whenever I put my pitchers in. Am I going to have enough money to stack, a Washington or a Boston? But I don't know. I could see myself going there today. I think I could.
All right, so last game.
I'm not excited about it though because they've been struggling. I feel like every time I play them, they don't do well.
Nova and Urias. Ivan Nova has been pitching well this year, not giving up home runs, pitching to ground balls. Decent strikeouts, 17%. I mean, there's nothing to write home about. Urias, on the other hand, known for his strikeouts, hasn't quite tapped into that this year yet. I know it's only been a couple starts, but is it concerning to you? This Pittsburgh offense does have some guys that can hit lefties. I actually think Jordy Mercer will slide in right here, and that will move Josh Bell down. But this 1 through 3 from Pittsburgh is always trouble versus lefties.
Yeah, and I think it's on the flip. The Dodgers generally play well versus righties. So I'm going to fade Nova today. I do really like him, and I like what he does as far as efficiency for a DFS play. Shown that he can get you he's gotten 40 DraftKings points this year without striking out 6 people, So he's definitely an outlier sense for what you look at for stats, but not today, I don't think, against this Dodgers lineup. I think you can even go back and stack the Dodgers if you wanted to. Again, he pitches the contact, and he's not superhuman. He's still Ivan Nova. You're right. Julio, on the other hand, has really not been shown out very well to start the season. I guess, actually, looking at his numbers, I mean, he's only given up 1 earned run, and they just kind of pulled him early, it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, they're still treating him with caution, obviously. I think that's going to be a concern going forward this whole year. The dude's only 20, so.
Yeah. All right, yeah, so I think you can. I don't know that I like stacking against him right now. So yeah. I'm going off a Pittsburgh stack.
Same. I'm not on them, but I'm not on Urias. I think these Dodger lefties are always worrisome. Of Seager, Grandal, Bellinger. I believe Bellinger's going to move up, obviously. I'll update that when the lineups are out, but yeah. So I
think Gonzalez is on.
He's on the DL, yeah. So he'll come off. So yeah, real quick because I got 5 minutes before I have to head out. You know that school thing.
Okay.
My top.
That stupid school thing.
Right, educated. My top 3 pitchers, point per price, are going to be Carlos Carrasco, Charlie Morton, and who do I really like? I'm trying to decide between. I like Ray, but I don't think I'd go there. You know what? I'm going to say Jeff Samardzija. I'm going to say Jeff Samardzija has a really nice game today.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna go the opposite. I think I'm gonna go Carrasco, Wheeler, and Morton. I think, again, Wheeler and Carrasco, I think, are tournament pivots off the chalk decks. I think Morton and Scherzer are going to be somewhat chalky. And you look at the prices, they're right in there. Yeah, I think Samardzija is a really good call, though. I think that is going to be some pretty low owned against the Mets. And I don't know. I think I could go there as well.
All right, and then favorite stacks. So I am on a Tampa Bay stack. I love their lefties. I'm on a Cleveland stack versus Bolsinger, whatever you want to call his name. And I love a White Sox stack, man. Love a White Sox stack.
Sorry, can you say those 3 again so I don't repeat them?
Yeah, so I'm on a Tampa Bay
Said
stack.
Cleveland.
Tampa Bay of Dickerson, Morrison, Rasmus, and I actually like Beckham over Miller, but I can get behind Miller. And then I love a Cleveland stack of Santana, Lindor. I love Kipnis is mad cheap on FanDuel. He's 2,700. That's way too cheap. And Jose Ramirez. And then my last stack is a Chicago White Sox stack, and you can pick and choose where you want to go in this lineup. I think anyone but Melky Cabrera I
Yeah.
really like. Although, isn't he a switch hitter?
I think so.
Yeah, I think he's a switch hitter. So Saladino, I'd like Abreu, Garcia, Frazier. Those are my 4 favorite. But I like Tim Anderson. I love Soto as a catcher. That play, and then Matt Davidson. I mean, if you want to not play Abreu and get cheaper with Matt Davidson, I like that as well.
I really like the White Sox stack as well. That is definitely my top 3. And I am going to go with this Boston 1 through. Actually, no. I like the 4-5 of Benintendi and Moreland, but I'm not going to make that one of my favorite stacks. I don't think. I like the Seattle. I think it's kind of going to be a little contrarian, I would imagine, of 2 through 4 with Gamble, Cano, and Seager.
I like that, dude. I
think that is one of my top 3 stacks today. If I had to pick out of the White Sox of like a 3-man stack, I think I might go a little off the board and go Frazier, Davidson, and Soto. But obviously, 3 through 5 is the way to go. Abreu, Garcia, and Frazier. But again, like you said, you can really go anywhere. To pick a 3rd stack, I don't know, man. Let's go with the Yanks. I'll go with the Yanks in Cincinnati against Adelman. And I'll stick with 2 through 5. Sanchez, Castro, Ellsbury, and Judge. I think I'd stick with Sanchez, Castro, and Judge if I wanted to make that 3.
I like it. So.
Yeah. So there's that, man.
Do I like a 2-man red stack with Judge as a one-off? Absolutely. Hamilton, Duvall, Judge. Yep. And X says, were we on Carnes yesterday? You betcha, buddy.
Yep.
We were all over that.
I played him in all my lineups.
Yep. We called him as one of, both of us actually had him in our top 3. And if you can, I mean, if you want to take it as this, Mike likes Wheeler, I like Samardzija. Maybe that leads you to avoid the bats in that game, if we both, and the implied total is low for those pitchers. So Vegas knows, man. Vegas knows.
True that.
So all right, guys. Well, unfortunately, hate to cut it short, but got to get off to school. We'll be in Slack. I'll still be in Slack as soon as I get situated in class. Mike will obviously be in Slack as well. We'll answer any other questions. Hit us up on Twitter. I now have a personal account that I've also made, just Kyle_Nusser, Nusser. Obviously, Mike is Yanks with a Z, 37.
Yanks fan 37. Same as my DraftKings
Username.
Name. So if you see me inviting you to the contest every day, that's my Twitter handle as well. Hit us up. Get into your booty in those free contests. And let's get this Phenom stuff going, man. We want to see some winners.
Yeah, buddy. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Have a wonderful and profitable Tuesday. Yes, it is Tuesday. It is Tuesday. And we will talk to you on the flip. Have a wonderful day.